Oh, push him.
Walk about my pussy.
Ew. What if our intro was just the sound of us eating mac and cheese? I've never even thought about that, but the sound of mac and cheese is one of the...
Hi.
Hey. That's sheepishly.
We're just looking into each other's eyes.
Romantically.
Not romantically, Hannah. Not romantically.
Not romantically, Hannah, I promise you. It was strictly formal. I was looking into your eyes like I was making a business deal.
Yeah, it was very platonic. We're going to be rich.
It was so platonic. It was about our business, a podcast, and how we're going to make so much money off of this stupid little podcast.
So much. Don't worry, Dad.
Don't worry. Don't worry, Mom. We're making so much money. Hey, guys. Welcome to Media Psycho.
Yeah.
Let's see how that turns out in the editing later. Yeah, so this is our podcast. We are two native Tennessee Knights.
Uh-huh.
I hate the word Tennesseans because it's so Nashvillians. Yeah, God.
615.
423. Where are my Johnson City, Bristol, and Kingsport City players at?
They don't have internet out there.
They only have corn. According to my friends.
They have their hay bales.
They only have corn.
What am I talking about? I live on a farm.
I was about to say, I went to your house. It's only farm. It's only farmland. Anyway, we are from Tennessee, but we just moved to Chicago like a month ago. It's been a month.
Exactly a month.
It's been
Much.
It's been exactly a munchkin. It's been a munchkin amount of time.
I'm nervous.
It's been a month since we moved here. How does that make you feel?
Take a drink real quick. I got that Pinot. Oh, sorry. I don't have Pinot yet.
I don't know what that is. I've never heard of Pinot.
I've never taken a drink in my life.
I've never drank anywhere in my life. Does Catholic cross sign. So yeah, we moved to Chicago about a month ago. We are two young adults looking to be in the entertainment business. I'm looking for anything because I want money. But my primary focus is acting, either in theater or film. I'd like to try both. But I mean, I've been in theater, but I'd like to try film. And then Ren.
I am primarily into film and also writing.
Oh, I've been into writing. I did writing for a year.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's good for you to mention it now. Anyways. Yeah, no, we're both writers.
We're both writers, but like one of us is a writer and the other is like trying to be a writer.
Yeah. I mean, you take it or leave it.
I hate you. And we were in Chicago and we've been trying to find jobs.
It's not been going well for one of us.
I'm not going to say one of us has a job and the other's still looking, but that's the fact.
Don't worry, John.
Don't you worry, Padre. Anyway, we decided to make a podcast because we were bored and everyone and their mother's making a podcast. And
literally.
Yeah, this is more for our entertainment and like maybe some friends. And if it catches on, great. If it doesn't, this is just a way for us to get our creative minds a-going.
But again, if it does catch on, we are very grateful for that. Especially the one who does not have a job, because that could bring me money.
I'd like to thank the fans and everyone who supported me through this endeavor.
I would like to thank the Academy.
accepting our award. I would like to thank the Academy for adding the podcast section to the award show.
I beat Meryl.
Don't worry, I'm better than Meryl. Meryl Streep, if you're listening.
Yeah, right.
If you're listening, we're sorry that we don't mean that, and we know you're not. So that's it. That's the end of our career. That's how it goes. But yeah, we decided we would start a show, and we were thinking about what to do for the longest time. And then one day I was alone, and I was like messing around on my computer, and I was like, what would be our gimmick? What would be our shtick? Our shtick. And I thought of movies, but then also more than that, I thought of TV shows, I thought of plays, I thought of musicals, I thought of media. Hence the name Media Psycho. It's a play on one of my favorite movies, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Gee, I wonder what it could be.
It's actually Polly Pocket and the Amazing Polly Pocket, the Amazing Dreamcoat. I know you've never heard of it. God, it's such a niche movie that I never would have guessed. But yeah, we decided we would make a podcast about media of movies, TV shows, plays / musicals, even like news every now and then. I'm not a news person, but Ren's a news person. She's going to get me caught up. It's going to be one of the learning points of our podcast. And also, like, maybe some songs later on. We've talked about that. But this is sort of the first... songs. Music. But this is sort of the first go at it that we have. We're going to see how it goes.
So we will try our best. To my family, I will try not to say things that you would rather me not say.
And to my family, only my mom will listen to this. And since I know more about you than I've ever wanted to know, you're going to be fine about it.
Oh. Sorry.
It's not weird.
Sorry.
It's bonding. You should know more about your parents.
I know enough.
You do know enough.
I know enough. My mother knows plenty about me, so that's enough with the bonding.
I don't want to know more about your family than I already do.
Gee, thanks.
Surface. If it's not my family, I don't want to... Yeah, that's fine. I don't want to know... Like, if it's not my family, I don't want to know more than surface level. It's fine. So one thing about our podcast is that it's not just conversation about media. It's also conversation and other types of entertainment. What kind of other types of entertainment am I talking about, Ren?
I would just like to say that I believe in chastity to a T. So I have no idea what
I would have never thought of any other kind of entertainment. How dare you?
Oh God, my parents are gonna kill me.
You're the one that brought it up. That's not even remotely close to what I was gonna say. I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. Oh my God. No, Ren, the other type of entertainment is drinking.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
The other thing they would be upset with me for.
Hey, we're over 21. It doesn't matter. I'm 22 and you're an age.
I could be 50 and my grandfather would leave his grave and pull me out of my home.
Facts.
And hit me with the Bible. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. My mom's going to be mad at that too. Oh my God. They're going to cut me off.
Hey, the truth. You gotta get the truth out there. Our gimmick is that while we're talking, we're also drinking. And we've gotten a few drinks in before we started the episode. What drink have we been drinking, Ren?
We have been drinking.
First of all, what is it?
It's a drink.
Okay, what kind of drink?
Wine.
Okay, what kind of wine?
White.
But what does it come in?
Comes in a box.
Yeah, box wine, baby.
My college babes out there and my broke babes.
My college broke babies.
A truck just went by. That thing goes by all the time.
Anyway, it's a box of wine. Yeah. It's what brand?
Franzia.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
what distinct?
Pinot Grigio with...
Yeah, Pinot Grigio Colombard.
So yeah, it pairs well. Also, I like what they did with on the box. It pairs well with garlic, shrimp, crab salad, and summer nights.
The fuck does summer nights mean?
I don't know. I guess if you're recording a podcast and it's a summer night like tonight, this is great.
Oh, well then we thought ahead. That's what it is.
Exactly.
So I can't have it in winter. I can't have it on like Groundhog's Day.
It says summer nights. It does not say winter. It does not say groundhog. Fall, no. Football games, no.
Football games. You know, I'm first in line for those football games.
Hey, Chicago Bears, am I right?
Chicago Bears. I was gonna say the Cubs, but that's the baseball.
Wow, Aaron.
I'm still learning. I don't sports. Anyway.
Well, Aaron, what are you drinking right now?
Well, I was drinking Franzia, but I've turned to the only thing we have in this motherfucking house, and that's vodka and orange juice.
No, we have club soda.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't want just watered down vodka. Okay, I'm sorry. I hate vodka. For those of you that like vodka, more to you. You can take all the 4 handles that we have in our kitchen. Yeah. But we had a housewarming party. People left vodka, and I don't understand why people love vodka so much, but they brought a lot of vodka. So neither of us.
Because vodka is the cheaper liquor, isn't
I mean, fair, but you can also get cheap liquor of any kind. Look at your box of Franzia wine.
Not liquor.
I mean, yeah, but I would much prefer that than vodka. Anyway, so it was what we had, and I needed to drink more, and I wanted Ren to drink more of the wine. So I made a screwdriver. I sacrificed myself. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, thank you.
But anyway, we wanted to let you know what we're drinking, so that way if you wanted to do a fun game of like, we want to drink what they're drinking, you can go ahead. And if you don't care, then I'm sorry, we've wasted, how long is it? 12 minutes of your time.
Every time Ren says, "Oh, Mom, I'm sorry, take a drink."
Anytime you hear my laugh, that sounds like a 3-year-old child in preschool. Take a drink. Clink.
All right, clink.
Nice. Okay.
Ooh.
It actually just tastes like OJ right now, so I think I did good. Okay, so each episode we're going to try to have a theme, and for the first episode, we thought we would tackle one of the hardest questions that people can get asked of media, including movies, television, and play/musicals. And that's just, what are your favorites?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are like, that's not hard. But really, I was able to name the first 2 of
each category, and then the third one's hard.
And the third one is always hard.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that, like, I think for anyone, you can always say, like, oh, this is my favorite movie, hands down. But, like, if you really take into consideration every single movie you've ever seen,
yeah,
and everything that all the movies have to offer, or all the TV shows, or all the plays/musicals, it's got to change. Yeah. It can't stay the same. No. At least for me. It changes.
No, because my favorite movies were very different when I was in high school, and then when I went to college, all of my tastes, they changed a great bit, and but just also the knowledge that I had with it that just kind of altered my way of viewing which ones are my favorite.
Well, yeah, because you're like, before that, you're in high school or you're in middle school, and you're like, I know everything about anything. That's how I spoke. I don't know about you, but like, you just, it's the part of getting older where you learn more things and you become wiser. So, like, obviously your views are going to change because you're not as steadfast and like geared toward every single view you've ever had.
Fun fact, I did try to fight a classmate of mine at MTSU because he put Mad Men as one of the worst shows ever.
So 2 fun facts in there. 1, we went to Middle Tennessee State University, MTSU theater department. Ayo. Ay. And then fun fact number 2 is that we just started watching Mad Men. I just started watching Mad Men.
I am a connoisseur of Mad Men.
She's watched it a bunch.
John Hamm, if you're listening.
John Hamm, if you're with Meryl Streep and you're having a sleepover and you're listening to our podcast.
You guys are just together. Meryl, I really do like you. I would love to have you as a friend. John.
Take me anytime.
We'll just see where it goes.
John, if you can make me an old fashioned and we can talk about 1, Mad Men, and then 2 after that, tag. I just want to see your lineage of how you got to that point.
Oh my gosh. Tag.
He was so good in that. He was so funny.
Oh, that deserves an Oscar for sure.
Okay, I don't know.
No, I'm
No, I'll stand behind it.
I will stand behind that. Listen, the Academy, they have made some questionable choices throughout their longevity.
We'll get to that later. Not in this episode, but later.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. But anyway, we're going to talk about our favorite movies, TV shows, and plays/musicals. But to make it easier, we're going to talk about the top 3 of each. Now, for me, it changes all the time, so my opinions are going to be my favorites as of now, and you can have opinion on them, you can not have opinion on them, whatever will sway you, I don't care. But
our parents will let us know their opinions on them.
Parents first, and then friends/new fans. If we ever get those, you can share your opinions, and maybe we'll bring them up later. Who knows? Shout out. We're going to talk about our top 3 movies, TV shows, and plays/musicals. So I'm going to let Ren start, and then after we name each one, we're going to talk a little bit about them. Yeah, Ren. So we're going to start with movies. I don't have mine in a particular order. It's just top 3. Like the first 3 I went to. So of your list, what is one of your top 3 films?
So in Chicago, there is a theater called the Music Box Theater. Oh. Yeah, you know where I'm going. Okay. They showed Jaws recently, and that was not the first time I watched it. I've watched it plenty of times. I'm a huge advocate for saying that Jaws is the best summer flick you will ever watch.
Which is so gruesome and satirical in a way, but I love it.
It's a perfect blend of fear and excitement. It will get you going. I've always liked Jaws because, like I said, it's a summer flick, but just also, I mean, everything about this was Spielberg's breakout film success, and the fact that, to me, that he went to the studios and they tried to undermine him every step of the way, and, you know, because he was younger, and they tried to be like, no, listen, kid, we'll help you, we know what to do, and blah, 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 all that, and he just really went with his gut, and there were a lot mess ups and everything, but everyone pulled themselves together and they created a really great film. Yeah, it's just something that I feel like stands the test of time. Absolutely.
So, fun facts. 1, Ren, out of the 2 of us, was the one in college to take film classes.
AA.
And so she's going to be the more educated, studious take on opinions of media between the 2 of us. So she's going to teach me some things. And then 2, the Music Box, its gimmick nowadays is that it'll show films in reels of film, like actual physical film that it was shot in.
So they'll do like 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter.
Yeah. So it was opened in the 1920s during the Great Depression, August 22nd, 1929. And it won't do a lot of movies all the time, but it has a few showings every now and then. So recently it was like Jaws, and then they're going to do Ghostbusters, and they've done Back to the Future, Cabaret, West Side Story, stuff like that. Older films that people can go and feel the nostalgia of going to see an opening because it is in real film. Another thing about Jaws when we saw it was that it was a drink-along film. Now, what does that mean, Ren?
It means that there were rules. And some of the rules, I wish I still had the paper. But it was like, you know, drink every time you hear the theme song. And they asked us to do it real quick. But what I really loved about it was the fact that there were so many guys that came in like the beach t-shirts and the yacht caps and the pipes and everything. Like, you can tell that this is a film that kind of does have sort of a cult following to it, but I feel like a lot of times when you think about cult films, you think like Mean Girls or Heathers or Clerks or, I don't know, something like that, and not something as quote-unquote revered as Jaws.
Yeah, to me, it's a pretty mainstream film. I remember when I was younger, I watched it a couple times. My grandmother had it on VHS, and not only VHS, but back then it was released on 2 VHS tapes because it was so long. And I would watch that every now and then during the summer, and it would be on during like Shark Week when we went to Myrtle Beach or something.
Wait, why would you go to Myrtle Beach during Shark Week?
Because we were poor, and that's the only beach we could go to. Keep up, Ring.
But why during Shark Week? We'll get into it later. But it's a question.
Because that's the gimmick of it. But I remember watching it, and I used to think it was really terrifying, and I kind of still do. I'm kind of still terrified of like beaches and sharks and stuff, because like it can happen. People have gotten attacked. Anyway, blah blah blah. It's a movie that I didn't appreciate as much when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate it more and more. And especially going to see it at the Music Box in this environment was very eye-opening. First of all, it felt like we were at like the premiere of the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because of just the reactions and the genuine like terror of like seeing the shark and the screams and the laughter and just everyone enjoying it was just so phenomenal, and I will not forget like, that experience. So that's why it was great for me.
I mean, it was just a newfound respect for it, definitely, after being able to view it. Because I had never gotten the chance. I know TCM, they do movies, like reruns of movies into the theaters again, and I've never watched Jaws like that. So I've always watched it in my living room, in my personal space, but to finally be able to watch it with all kinds of people who it's a mixture of having a love for it, have always watched it, or some people who have never watched it and this was their first time. I mean, it was great.
Yeah. So what are, really quick to highlight the film for you, what are some of your favorite, why is this in your top 3?
I would probably have like a top 3 for that as well, because it's acting, it's story based, and it's also just knowing all of the technical difficulties that they experienced. Yeah. And it still came out on top. I mean, this was the highest grossing film for a long time, and it was only surpassed when George Lucas came out with Star Wars.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I could be correct on that. Maybe not the highest grossing movie of all time, but I believe it's like definitely like in its genre or something for a while, or maybe it was like summer box office highest grossing, something like that. But yeah, there was a big record that it set, and then George Lucas, I guess, overachieved it. What am I trying to say? Like
he definitely busted through that.
Yeah, busted through it.
That glass ceiling of box office hits.
And they were both friends. You know, it's really funny. So Wondery, they do a lot of podcasts, and they did a podcast about the making of Jaws. Yeah, great podcast. We love you. So I learned so much through that alone, and that kind of also, I loved it before that, but just listening to that, I was kind of like, oh yeah, okay. So that's what really happened. All the times the shark wouldn't work, and the fact that they did not shoot. Yeah, they didn't shoot in a pool, really. They shot out in open waters. Yeah. So that was another task. But yeah, it was just, it kind of just hits all 3 out of the ballpark. And of course, when you have a strong director like Spielberg, even though he was very young at the time, and I mean, it just all goes down the path for Succession.
He's one of the producers of one of my favorite films, Back to the Future, which I didn't include in this list only because it's a trilogy and I can't separate them, even though it's a wonderful movie. I couldn't separate them and put them into this list. But he always brings like a wonderful energy and charisma to any movie he's like a part of or directs or produces, however he does that. And you can tell in the movie, like, the actors are great, the story's great, it keeps you on your toes, and it's just a great ride all the way through.
It definitely has the Spielberg touch.
Yeah, definitely. The Spielberg touch. That's nice. Yeah. So we'll go into one of my top favorite films now, I guess.
Hit it.
Hit it. Bam, 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 bam. I don't know why I did Stay Alive. Stay alive. Stay alive. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, so one of my top favorite films, again, in no particular order, I just wrote 3 down. The first one I thought of was Nightcrawler.
I've never watched that.
You've never watched it? So, we can watch that soon because it's a fantastic movie. So, it stars Jake Gyllenhaal. It was released in 2014. And let me tell you, when I saw this film, it was terrifying and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, he plays like a really creepy guy, doesn't he?
Oh man, he's so creepy.
Okay.
To give you an insight of what he thought of to get prepared for this role, he thought of a coyote. And he, like, I know it's funny, but he imagined, like, being a coyote and what a coyote is to prepare for this role. So, like, the hunger, the diet, the skinny, like, meat and bones. When you think of a coyote, like, starving and wanting to get the next meal, blah, blah, blah. That's what he did. Yeah, that's what he did for this role.
If a guy ever came up to me and was like, I want to date you like a coyote, I would run for the hills.
Oh, I hope you do, because I hope no one's ever used that line, because I don't think it would ever work. But it's a 2014 movie. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and it is directed by Dan Gilroy. Directed by Dan Gilroy, and it's basically a film about the news entertainment industry. Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Louis Bloom, is a, like, cinematographer or, like, cameraman for news. So this is the synopsis. When Louis Bloom, a con man desperate for work, muscles into the world of LA crime journalism, he blurs the line between observer and participant to become the star of his own story. So basically, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Louis Bloom, he's, like, so desperate for money, and he's ready to, like, get in there, and he's so gung-ho about working because he wants to get money however he can. He decides to join journalism and be a cameraman for the news. But as the story progresses, you find out that he is so hungry to be the top cameraman and the first one on the scene, or the first one to get the story, that he's willing to do anything to do so.
Yeah.
Which, like, even goes as far as, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it, you can jump ahead if you can. At some point in the film, he is the first one to a scene where it's like a wreck and a guy has been, like, brutally injured. He's, like, on the ground, he's bleeding, he's probably dead. I think he's dead. And what he does to amp up his footage is he moves the body and, like, puts it in a certain light in the headlights of the car to show, like, a better portrait, to where when he films it, it will get better bids and, like, better offers when he goes to news channels and news anchors and offers his, yeah.
Sicko.
Oh yeah. But it's like, he's so good at it, and it's beautifully creepy and beautifully awful that you're just like, man, that is an actor. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal is in the top 5 actors of all time for me. Like, he's just so passionate about what he does. And in this film in particular, it's just so gruesome that, like, even he knows. Like, in interviews, he's talked about how horrible this person is and how horrible the movie is, but he's like, but I couldn't think of it like that because I'm an actor. Yeah. And to me, it has to be right. Like, it has to be morally correct for him as an actor. And so he thought of it as, like, I can't remember specifically what he said, but basically he compared it to being an artist and, like, creating the painting or creating the scene or the artwork to be portrayed to the audience that will best portray his story.
Give, like, the audience what they're wanting to watch before they even know what they want to watch.
Yeah. And it's like, I won't give too much away, but, like, just the performance of the actors in the film, the story that is, like, portrayed, and the actor and the character is willing to portray in the film, it's just so deep and sadistic, and, like, it just really shows you, and it's, like, almost true, is, like, how far will someone go to make this their art or their work. And it's almost up there. I was reading, like, it's almost up there with Prisoners. That's also a fantastic film that he did a year before. Did you ever see that?
No.
He just put so much into his acting, and he had 2 films out at the time, Prisoners and Enemy, another film, Enemy. But because of his preparation for Nightcrawler and his devotion to the film, he, like, couldn't even acknowledge or enjoy Enemy or Prisoners.
Wow.
Because he's so enthralled in the character.
That's kind of a almost dangerous route to go as an actor, though.
I've had that debate so many times, and listeners, if you want to comment yourselves on like the line between like method and how far you should go and how far you should go, but I've always had a debate with myself on what is method, and is method good for acting, or is that just like another step that maybe we shouldn't take? I don't know. It's so scary.
Should we be better actors and
Should we be better actors?
think a little bit more?
Should we just like be healthy, maybe? But yeah, it's like almost up there with American Psycho or something like that. Like in their mind, it's all correct or good.
Yeah.
But to the outside world, it's like, what the fuck are you
Well,
doing?
when you were talking about it, that's exactly what I thought. It was Christian Bale in American Psycho. Just because of like what you said, where he's thinking, you know, like, well, what's wrong? Mm-hmm. And everyone else is like, dude, check yourself in.
Yeah. You need rein it in.
Please.
But yeah, I just think it's one of the greatest movies that I've ever seen, because like really anything I see Jake Gyllenhaal in, I know he puts 100% into it, and he's a different person every time. But it's just such a horrible person and a horrible story morally, that like when you see him portray it and you're like, oh, I hate you, that's when you know it's like amazing.
Exactly. Well, it's like a lot of different characters where you like them, but you hate the fact that you like them. I mean, the character J.R. Ewing from the soap opera series Dallas, I believe, is like one of the first ones that really kind of created that, where you just kind of do like this 2-step dance until you finally decide what you want.
So that's one of my top 3. So Ren, over to you. What's your second top 3?
Okay, boys and girls. We're going to talk about another great film written by the late, great Nora Ephron. I love Nora Ephron, and this movie is When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
So, for those of you who don't know, the plot is...
I've never seen that movie.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I actually own it.
Crystal and...
Meg Ryan.
There you go.
Yeah.
God, Meg Ryan.
Did you say Peg Ryan?
I said Meg Ryan, but I was taking a drink, so it came out as Peg Ryan. Meg Ryan is...
Meg Ryan, if you're listening, we know.
Meg Ryan, if you're having a sleepover with John Hamm and Meryl Streep, we know that you're a fan. We're sorry to get it wrong. Yeah, no, she's always in those great movies like Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh yeah, that's another Nora Ephron film.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. She's the girl.
I mean, she is. But you know what's really interesting is that she always looks so little and petite in her films. Like, she never looks overly tall. She's an average height for a woman, but she looks to be like 5'2" or 5'3".
Sure.
It's really incredible. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Blocking, probably. Anyways. So yeah, When Harry Met Sally, it's written by Nora Ephron. It's directed by Rob Reiner. Stars Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, and also Carrie Fisher, another late great. Yeah. She stars as one of the friends. And there are times where I feel like I can relate to her, but I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Anyways, she finds love, so I'll be fine. So the movie, obviously, I'm sure a lot of you know, is 2 friends. It's a guy and a girl. They're on their way to New York. They're done with college, and they aren't exactly friends in the beginning, but they begin to have a discussion about why men and women can't be friends. And
the age-old question,
can men and women ever be friends? Because Billy Crystal says that the 3 little letter word sex. Oh. For all you G-rated listeners.
Sex.
Yeah, that gets in the way.
Fucking.
And so from a female perspective, God, Aaron, I just not heard that.
Hey, for our R-rated listeners, that's how.
That's what it is. My mother hates the term bangin'.
Banging. God, I feel like there's so many other.
So why does your generation always have to bang people? Anyways.
Why you always? Huh?
Stop it.
So, yeah. So they ponder that question, and Meg Ryan sits back and she's like, from a female perspective, she's like, what? No.
She's like,
wise words. What? No.
That's a little breakdown for it.
Get it on a t-shirt.
But, and then just like the story kind of continues and time moves on. This is definitely a movie that evolves over a long period of time. I think it goes on maybe 20 years. Maybe is the length of it. It's around that time. So, I mean, obviously there were some other rom-coms.
So obviously there were a couple before that.
For me personally, I feel like that's just the one that everyone thinks about. They're always like, oh yeah, when Harry met Sally. And because it also, the story involves friendships over time and how those evolve.
I think you mean Big with Tom Hanks in 1988, a year before.
The love between a young kid and his older self.
I love a romance between a young boy and his older self.
And big piano keys.
And big piano keys. That's all you need to know.
That's all I know about the film, honestly.
That's all you need to know. Anyway.
The writing of it and the fact that Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron, the two characters, Harry and Sally, are based on the director and the writer themselves. And the fact that they use their own personal life to kind of reflect on that and what is dating in the modern age. And of course, there's modern age for them. But, you know, the question kind of almost still stands, you know, like, what is dating during this time? What does that mean? What about friends? What about relationships? What are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of goes down from that. Also, the blending of humor and drama, really.
Sure.
Because there's a moment, there are two fantastic moments. There's a moment when Harry has a breakthrough. He's talking to his friend. I think they're at like a Yankees game, and there's the wave going through the crowd. And they are doing this seemingly fun, relaxed thing, but yet Harry is talking about the demise of his marriage. And it's just such kind of like a juxtaposition there. And then Sally later is crying about her past failed relationship, and she just has this realization that she's going to be 40, and Harry hits her with when, and she replies back with someday, and just keeps going. And it's just like, it's such a normal conversation that people have.
God.
Like, I mean, I view myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is me. I will be 40 someday. Like,
I'm gonna be 40. When? Someday.
Why do you sound like Jennifer Coolidge?
I don't know. I'm gonna be 40. Oh, God. You look like the 4th of July. Makes me want a hot dog real bad. God, that's just such a romantic comedy line. I'm gonna be 40 when? Someday.
But it's true. Like, she's going back in that moment.
I guess it's true. I'm gonna be 80 when? Someday. Yeah, that's true. Maybe.
That's what he should have said. Maybe, if you're lucky enough.
Maybe if you're lucky. That's the missing in the writing. That's what they're missing. Jesus.
And for all you listeners out there, I want you to know, if you're sitting at home and you're pondering, can I look at my really good guy friend that I talk about relationships with? Can we make it work? I'm telling you right now, it does not work. Take it from a young woman's experience. That shit will crash and burn faster than so many things I can think of right now.
Hindenburg. Apollo, one of them. Which one was before? Which one was?
Whichever one that did not succeed.
The one that blew up.
Challenger? Sick, Aaron. What is wrong with you?
It's true. It's the drinking. I'm sorry. The Apollo.
We're going to be canceled before we even broadcast. God.
Hitler's art dreams. It crashed before.
I was about to say his,
I'm like, that kind of lasted a hot minute.
No, that was successful, unfortunately.
I'm just saying it's a great movie, but don't ever sit back and think, oh, maybe. And if your mothers are sitting there saying, yeah, try it, say no, because a smart young lady told me not to.
That's it. Ren Creasy, the smart young lady. So yeah, When Harry Met Sally. I've been meaning to watch it at some point. I was going to watch it at some point, but I mean, it's not in my top. It's not in the top of my.
It's a good movie. I just feel like they don't make rom-coms like that anymore.
It's not in a high part of my radar, but I knew I was going to have to watch it at some point.
It will be now. Yeah. You've made me watch Donnie Darko and Jailhouse Rock.
Which are two brilliant movies.
Jailhouse Rock was cute.
Donnie Darko, it's a very split decision. You make some kind of comment wherever on if you enjoy it or not. We'll talk about it later.
Well, I'm not a depressed pothead, so I didn't think it was good.
All right. Well, all right. Well, you could not be a pothead and enjoy it, but that's just my decision.
Canceled. All right.
Canceled. Anyway. So, the next one on my list, in no particular order, is Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock.
Never even heard of her.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of her.
So Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. It was made in 1960.
Psycho was, people were already thinking, okay, so you need to hang up your hat now while you're ahead.
So I've watched there's a biopic of him making this film called Hitchcock. And it's a beautiful film. It's really great with Anthony Hopkins and what's her name?
Helen Mirren.
Is it Helen?
Helen Mirren.
Is it Helen Mirren?
Yeah.
Okay, Helen Mirren. It's a biopic about him discovering this story, and he's about to be washed up and quit, but then he finds this book, and he's like, I'm going to make a movie based on this book. So Psycho comes about, and it's about Norman Bates, who's a lonely man who's in charge of a motel off of a deserted, abandoned highway, and a woman named Marion Crane. She has been living a mundane life. She's been seeing another man who's married, and she's trying to live like the life she wants, but she can't. And one day she decides, I'm going to run away, but before that, I'm going to steal some money. Because why not? She works at a bank.
Ungrateful harlot.
You ungrateful harlot. You 60s blonde.
You know what's really cute, though? Is the close attention to detail that Hitchcock gives, and that he directed Edith. I believe it was Edith Head who did the costuming. I could desperately be wrong on that. But they have her in white lingerie in the scene, in the lovemaking scene. Yeah. And then when she's already stolen the money and she's changing to leave, she's in black lingerie.
Some of that subtle storytelling that we've learned about. So yeah, she steals money, she decides she's going to run away, and she's going to meet Sam Loomis at some point, her lover, and be like, we're going to start a new life with all this money. But it's raining, and she can't go on, and she accidentally gets turned onto this old abandoned highway, and she stops at the Bates Motel, speaking of which, it's a great spin-off television series. You should watch it. It's really wonderful. It kind of makes it modern, but it's also like talking about the rise of Norman Bates and how he became who he was. It's really wonderful. Anyway, so she stops there, and Norman Bates is like, yeah, you can stay the night. I'm all alone. No one's here, and it's nice to have company. And then while she's taking a shower, no spoilers, but
during a tour I had one time, I stayed in a lot worse hotels than that. So I would have been thankful for the Bates Motel, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's a very nice, it seems lovely, but then you realize that maybe not everyone is who they say they are. Anthony Perkins, I keep getting confused. Yeah. Anthony Perkins does a wonderful job portraying this character of a tormented, self-loathing man who's just looking to make things right and can't control urges. It was one of the revolutionary moments where a big-name actress was in a film for only the beginning, maybe 30 minutes, 25 to 30, and was spoilers. She was killed off. God. It's been out for 70 years, almost 70 years, 60, 70. Anyway, it was 60. Pardon my math. Anyway, she's killed off at the beginning. It was a great way to bring in audiences and work for marketing.
The book Psycho the character Norman Bates was short and bald and fat and grotesque looking, like drool, everything. And so, I mean, that was the number one thing that Hitchcock was like, no, we're changing, because who would ever feel comfortable to stay with somebody like that if you're being made to feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, it's one of those, in my opinion, it's like very much like this is a film inspired by the book Psycho, but it's not based on it, because in my opinion, based on means mostly taken directly from the primary source material and turned it into a different medium. But inspired by is like, oh, I've seen this or I've read it, but I'm going to do my own version and change it to where it's anyway. But yeah, it's a classic. My grandmother loves Alfred Hitchcock, and she was the one that introduced me to the film. And it's a really great storytelling film for the time, because it's like older, but it can still frighten you, and it still seems like it's got some new inventive ways of storytelling, and like the camera work and the subtle details like you were talking about. It stands the test of time. It's like always great, and it's always a good time to watch.
Right. I mean, I don't even look at this movie like, oh, I only want to watch this here in October. No,
I can watch it at any point. I own it on Blu-ray, on Steelbook. No, not on Steelbook. But like, I own it on Blu-ray. It's like one of my favorites, and I'm like, I can pop it in at any point. And also, like, it inspires so many other films. It did. As well.
I mean, what's his name? William Blatty. Or no, not William Blatty, my apologies. William Friedkin, who has directed The French Connection. He also directed The Exorcist. He was very much inspired by Hitchcock and the movie Psycho. And so, I mean, that just shows you that, one director and his film can influence thousands of others and create more legends.
Halloween in the 70s, like an unknown, like not primary faced figure haunting like a certain person going after young women.
Right,
like,
exactly.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Fun fact, if you don't know, Jamie Lee Curtis. Who is she the daughter of? Janet Leigh.
There we go.
Scream Queens. Woo. Gosh, that's a great TV show.
Freaky Friday. The main thing she's known for. Her main media. But yeah, that's another one of my favorites. It's a classic, and that's more of a movie that I'm always like, I love this film, and I think it's one of the best ones. Yeah, always watch it. I would say it's not even like for now, it's my favorite. Like, it's always one of my favorites.
Okay, so my third and final film would have to be another Alfred Hitchcock. This is the film that in college, in all of my film classes, a lot of my professors, they praised, and they often referenced it, and to them, and again to me, this is the basis for a great film. And it is Rear Window.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Rear Window. I watched that for the first time.
When?
2-3 years ago.
Oh, nice. So, it's basically starring Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly, and it's about a man, Jimmy Stewart, who is stuck in his apartment.
The character Jimmy Stewart.
The character Jimmy Stewart himself. Wait, what did I say?
You said it's about a man, Jimmy Stewart, who...
The character Jimmy Stewart himself. It's a documentary.
The actor. Jimmy Stewart.
If you're in your grave, just know that.
Jimmy Stewart, if you're in your grave, having a sleepover.
With Meryl Streep, John Hamm. And what was the other one? Just know that we love you all.
If you're having a seance with Jimmy Stewart.
Anyway. My bad. His character, Jimmy Stewart's character, is suffering from an injury. He's a photographer, and he is stuck in his apartment. It's a very hot summer, and all he can do when his girlfriend isn't visiting him is spy on the neighbors.
Those of us that have been in those positions where we can only spy on the neighbors and do nothing else. It's really easy to spy on our neighbors. I'm not saying I've done it, but I just would like to say that I think it's pretty easy to.
I definitely have done it.
Wow, weirdo. Okay. Sicko on here. Jesus. Anyway.
But yeah, to me, this movie has the most beautiful entrance of any actress I have ever seen in film. Grace Kelly, when she first enters into the film, oh my gosh, it's just breathtaking. I love it. And I mean, you can't even really describe it. It's just something that you do have to watch. But it definitely is unlike any other. But two big things that I really do want to talk about. So many of Alfred Hitchcock's stories and films, I should say, they are based on short stories, a lot of them, or novellas. And so that's a really interesting thing, is that Alfred Hitchcock did a lot of his research. And so Rear Window is actually kind of like, I can't necessarily remember if it's based on a short story or if this was actually a crime that he read about that happened.
Is it?
I can't remember. I think it may be an actual crime that took place, that like kind of like the gist of the idea of it. So two big things, like editing and sound wise. Rear Window is known for its jump cuts a lot of time.
Sorry to interrupt. We've looked it up, and it is based on the 1942 short story by Cornell Woolrich's "It Had to Be Murder."
Nice. That's what it's based on. Clarification. But yeah, so jump cuts were used a lot. So basically, you would get a shot of Jimmy Stewart talking on the phone or doing something in the apartment, often looking at the neighbors, and then you would, like, so to speak, jump cut to the next shot, and it would be what Jimmy Stewart is looking at. And that happened a lot. It was back and forth throughout the film. But it was a great way of really laying the audience in on it. I mean, obviously the audience is watching it, they're viewing it, they're understanding it, but to make it seem like it's through their eyes too, through their own point of view, it just takes it up a notch. And then another big thing with Rear Window that I feel like is just a little bit different from a lot of other films is the sound. So in film, you have diegetic sound and non-diegetic sound.
For those that don't know, could you inform us, Ren, of what diegetic and non-diegetic sound?
If only someone did not interrupt me. Anyways.
I was trying to make a good intro for those that don't know.
Okay.
Because I didn't know.
Well, that was a good intro. You're welcome.
I tried really hard.
It's okay. All right, enough of being nice.
All right.
All right. So yeah, diegetic basically means that it comes from within the film's world. So like I was telling Aaron earlier, like you have a character that's in the kitchen and they're doing the dishes and you hear the water running. Well, that's diegetic. Non is coming from outside of the world. So just think of typical film scores that you hear a lot of times. And God, I hope I'm right on all this, because if I'm not, I don't like to be called out.
That's fine. That's how we learn. So, to clarify, diegetic sound is sounds that are coming from the world of the film. So, like, if a person's washing dishes, the sound of that is diegetic. Their conversation, the dialogue that's happening is diegetic. And just any noise that's coming from the world of the film.
Exactly.
Okay, and then non-diegetic is like
from outside
sound cues or
yeah,
music, score, stuff like that, stuff added in later.
Exactly.
It's not really a part of the world.
Yeah, that's not even really a part of the story a lot of times. And music is the biggest thing, so it's not like I'm underlining that, because music is one of the biggest components of a film. You turn music off during a thriller or a horror film, you're no longer afraid. But yeah, so the sound, huh?
I can definitely.
He has really bad hiccups right now.
So I can definitely attest to that, because I turn off the sound or I plug my ears in a scary movie because. Continue.
You know what? Points made. We get it. Hold your breath. God. Yeah, so in Rear Window, there's zero non-diegetic sounds, which is almost completely unheard of, except for the very beginning of the film when you have the opening credits. That is it.
Really? There's no music at the end?
There's...
When, like, the person is coming into the door?
No, it's all music of the universe of the film.
Wow, that's awesome.
Of the story, yeah. And normally, I think of that and I'm like, God, how awful. Because, here's another example. New Moon. And let me tell you, that is not a good film, and that is a film that has almost only sounds from within the film universe, and it sucks, and it's boring.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about the second film installment of the Twilight Saga?
Absolutely, Mr.
New Moon.
Absolutely.
You're just gonna compare. We're talking about Rear Window, one of the major cinematic masterpieces of all time, and then you're gonna bring in. I mean, I get it.
I am comparing a great film with great sound mixing to the shittiest of films with the shittiest of sound mixing. Sucky film. And I don't need any little tween middle schoolers coming for me right now. Okay.
Shitty, sucky film.
Shitty, ridiculous teen crap. Oh. Thank you, Mom, for getting me out of school and letting me go see the midnight premiere of it when it came out.
I was about to say, let's not all act like we haven't seen and wanted to watch New Moon at some point.
We've learned our lesson.
No matter who you are, you've seen or wanted to see New Moon in some form or fashion. Anyways.
Yeah, so Rear Window does a really good job of making the viewer really anticipate what's going to happen. So I don't really want to give a lot away, but when you have somebody walking up a stairwell or something, there's no creepy music playing in the background. All you hear are the footsteps getting closer every time. And Jimmy Stewart's panting a breath and just everything like that. And again, like normally I feel like music is such a big part that we're so used to it and we want to hear it, but it worked. It was perfect.
I will say that when I watched it for the first time and it got to that moment at the end where, again, spoiler alert, where the neighbor arrives at his door and all you see is the light underneath the crack of the door and then just the silence, but then the silence cut with the steps and the creaking of the floorboards.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was so terrified. I hated it. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and Hannah, I was with, to clarify, Hannah, my girlfriend. I was with Hannah, and we were in her bedroom, and like the lights were off, and we were watching it, and my heart sank because it was so good, but it was because it was so terrifying.
Yeah, it just like cuts
hearing. Oh man, I hated it, but it was so wonderful.
Also, it's really interesting that the entirety of Rear Window was filmed on a giant soundstage. No, they're not really in apartments. I mean, obviously you know that part of them aren't, but when he's looking out at the neighbors, those are real apartments. And the neighbors, obviously they didn't even really have a script. All they had were tiny earpieces and Alfred Hitchcock sitting behind telling them, hey, go do this, go do this. Do this. Okay, the camera's on you. Pull. No, don't pull. Struggle.
Yeah. Did you know? Did you ever see I think it was 2009, the movie Disturbia?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, you did.
I love that movie.
I didn't know until later on that was supposed to be technically like a remake of Rear Window.
Yeah.
And personally, good job. I think it was, for a modern, 2007. For a 2007 film directed by DJ Caruso, I'm not gonna look up what else he's done, but with Shia LaBeouf and other actors. Shia LaBeouf's the only one I care about. But with trying to do a modern take of Rear Window, and the actors they had and the script they had and the circumstances it was in, to be honest, I thought it was a pretty excellent execution for the time.
Yeah, no, so I definitely watched that film first, but I had no idea Rear Window or anything like that. I was in 7th grade, so I watched that first.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so.
And it's so interesting, though, but that when I watched Rear Window, I didn't think about that movie.
I can't remember how I found out about it. I may have thought about it when I was watching it. I may have read about it later when I was reading like fun facts or something. But I think that's so interesting, and like it's not Rear Window and it's not as revolutionary as Rear Window, but like I applaud them for making that film. And me, like you could watch those separately and be like, I can see the similarities, but think they're different enough.
And they are pretty different in a way.
Yeah, but I also think they're both terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They both do a really good job because it's something that's so normal. Yeah. I mean, do you really know your neighbors? I mean, Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, proved that. I mean, we don't really know our neighbors.
Yeah. And so, partially inspired, it says right here, partially inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. Right. The film released, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm
sure there's probably like a list out there of films inspired by, or just, I mean, honestly, complete remakes. How many remakes have there been of Psycho? Also.
First of all, are you talking about the Vince Vaughn? The Vince Vaughn remake of Psycho? We won't talk about that.
Vince Vaughn, if you're having a seance with Meryl Streep, John Hamm, and the other one.
You can go back and listen to it, whoever the other one is. If you're having a seance with Jimmy Stewart and all them, then we love you. I adore every film you're in, but at the same time, here's the thing. As a whole, I feel like it's this is very deterring, and we'll go into my third film here in a second. But Psycho, the remake, the television film, I think it was wonderful only as an homage and like sort of that's it. That's all I think about it as an homage. Because one, they basically almost tried to create shot for shot a remake of Psycho. If you go back, they tried to do the same, almost the same camera work, almost the same, like, basically the same plot line, the same lines, just a few variations here and there. I think they were almost spot on with the casting. Because here's the thing. Anthony Perkins, at the time, people didn't think of him as that. Like, even in the biopic about Hitchcock, about him making the film, he talks about in a scene where he didn't think that Anthony Perkins, a good-looking man with such a good reputation, could play this part. And yet, he had an interview with him, and he was perfect for it. And it's like, that's the same thing with Vince Vaughn. It's like, you don't think he could be this character, but, like, I'll give it to him in certain parts when he was Norman Bates. He was pretty creepy. Like, he was pretty weird.
I mean, I just remember watching a little bit of it, and I was like, wrong one, and turned it off.
Fair. I had to watch it because I was like, I'm a diehard Psycho fan. I just need to see what it's about. But Vince Vaughn did a great job. I think the main actress, Anne Hesh, or Heesh, however you say it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think she was almost spot on. I don't know much of her career, but, like, she seemed like she would fit the part.
Yeah.
And she did a okay job. That's not a name I would have put for Marion Crane. But, I mean, like Julianne Moore, I would have put more as Marion Crane than Lila Crane. Because Lila Crane, at the time, was supposed to be she was not as known of an actress. And that's why it worked. Right. It was because Janet Leigh was the name of the movie. Anyway, they did a good job. William H. Macy as Milton Arbogast. He was perfect for that role. It's like they tried to do exactly what Hitchcock did, but with modern actors and I appreciate it for that. But as a whole, it's underwhelming because it's not.
Well, I mean, just like Back to the Future, what would you think if somebody like tried to entirely recreate Back to the Future?
Here's the thing. I thought about that the other day. I don't think it would be bad.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that later.
We'll have another.
Yeah, we'll have another discussion. Anyway.
Also, I do want to tell a little story about Disturbia.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Make it quick.
Shall take my time. So I'm in 7th grade, right? I'm watching it. My parents did not censor a lot of my movies or music. They were very free with it. My mother has told me recently that she regrets this. Anyways, so I watched it, and there is like, okay, remember how cell phones had like ringback tones, you know?
You still have a ringback tone?
Whatever. Or I don't even think it was a ringback tone. I don't know how to change it. Anyways, it wasn't a ringback tone, but it was like the ringtone where you could like play like songs instead of having just like the regular ringtone.
Yeah, that you have is what I'm talking about.
Anyways, whatever. Another.
Hold on. If you ever call someone and you hear that, I'm with you, and I understand that you also hate it and want to shoot the person you're calling. Anyway,
Don't shoot me.
it's not 2007 anymore. You can have a regular ringtone like every other.
How to change
You can have a ringtone like every other person in the fucking
Well, I will
world.
look at Verizon tomorrow.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ. Okay, we'll drive to Verizon tomorrow and change it personally. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna do that.
So the ringtone for the cell phone is the classic song where they are quoted as saying, "You make me so horny." And that is what it repeats over and over again.
Wait, are you talking about that? Me so horny.
Yes. Yes.
I just want the listeners to know that if there's any of you, I want the listeners to know that the only reason I know about that ringtone is from Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Oh my god.
Borrows the cell phone of like his friend's daughter because he confiscated it from her.
Wow.
Anyway, but like anytime he gets a call in the movie, it's like, be so horny. It's so freaking stupid and I hate it. Anyway.
Well, I was a very naive child and I didn't know what that word meant, but I thought it had a great beat. So one day
I was here for the jam.
I was here for the jams.
I was here for the sick beats.
So on the way to the grocery store, my mom was driving and I just started to repeat that. And she told me to stop immediately what I was doing.
As she should. She's a good mother.
And she just said that was a bad word. I had no idea what it was. It was also like when she let me watch Mean Girls and I looked at her one day and I said, "Boo, you whore." When she wouldn't let me do something.
I bet that went over so well. Well, that's like me in 3rd grade. I watched, for those Jim Carrey fans out there, I watched The Mask like religiously when I was younger. No, it's a great film. Don't knock it.
It's sexually perverted.
Okay, yes, but it's a great film. Anyway, it was a different time. Anyway, and I was in school, and it was before. You remember when you used to go to the auditorium before school?
Yeah.
And you would like meet and
you
before
would wait,
classes.
yeah.
Jeez, those were easier times. I wish I was back there. Jesus. Anyway, it was 1st grade, and I was like sitting with my friends in our usual row. You know, the like cool kid area.
The
No, it was the dork side of the auditorium.
Yeah, I saw your haircut.
No, the bowl cut. I was an angel. I was a cherub. I was a fucking cherub. Anyway, I was with my friends and I was talking about how I just watched this film. I was like, guys, I just watched this film. I don't remember exactly what it said, but I was telling them about how I watched The Mask, and I was like, and then there was this one part. It was so funny. And it was the part where he's getting arrested by the cops, and they're like pulling stuff out of his pants. And they're like smallmouth bass. Wow, bowling pin, and they're like pulling these random things out of his pants. And then he goes, picture of Calloway's wife. And the guy's like, what?
God.
Calloway. And he goes, uh-oh. And then he's like, Margaret, you son of a bitch. And I can say that now, Mom, because I'm 22 years old and I'm not a 1st grade. But I said that like in 1st grade in the auditorium, and one of my teachers was walking by and was like, what did you just say? And like yanked me out of my chair and brought me to the principal's office. I was not allowed to watch that movie for like several months.
I said, boo, you whore.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like your parents give you a little leeway and you're like, yeah, I'm cool. I can totally keep this a secret. Totally. And you just say it.
Oh, my parents didn't even say keep it a secret. They just, I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, no, my mom did. She was like, okay, I'll let you watch this. You just can't repeat any of it. I was like, yeah, totally, sure. And then immediately, it wasn't even a lie. It was just, I was so excited that I was like, guys, this was so funny.
Guess what?
I had high taste in humor when I was younger. Anyway.
Obviously, Jim Carrey.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so going back to the final part of this episode. My number 3, I mean, not really number 3, but my third pick in this top 3 movies, in no particular order, is the famously critically acclaimed Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Again,
I've never watched.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm getting you to watch it. So all my Scott Pilgrim fans out there, it was brought out in 2010. That's a weird way to phrase it. It came out in 2010. There we go. Not brought out. It was presented. It was birthed into the theaters. It debuted in 2010, and it starred Michael Cera and Kieran Culkin, Anna Kendrick, Alison Pill, Aubrey Plaza, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Jason Schwartzman, Ellen Wong, Billy, just to name a few.
Just to name the entire cast, including the extras.
Billy. It wasn't even Billy. It was Will Bowes. Anyway, to name a few. Anyway, this was a fantastic film, and it was based on a comic series, a series of graphic novels by Canadian author and artist Brian Lee O'Malley. It's a movie based on the comics, and it was so well done. Holy shit. So it's about a guy, his name's Scott Pilgrim, and he's in a band. And they play like grunge guitar, like garage band music. It's really, yeah. I'll put a clip in the podcast. But it's really great, and it's about a guy, he's like on his own, he's in a band, and he's like living his life, and he starts dating this girl, Knives Chow.
Wow.
She's a...
What a name.
They make a joke about it. She's like an Asian girl who's like younger, goes to high school, but she goes to like a private school, so she's in like the schoolgirl's uniform. And he's like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm dating a younger chick, blah, blah, blah. And then he meets this girl whose name is Ramona Flowers.
Again, what a name.
He like sees her, and he's like, oh my god, this girl's amazing, I gotta date her. And he's trying to get with her, and then he starts dating her, and she's like, oh, well, there's a stipulation. If you date me, you have to date my you have to date. You have to date my exes. You have to defeat my 7 evil exes. And he's like, what?
Same.
And it's like, yeah, same. Me too. All the time in my daily life. So basically it's like a superhero cartoon comic movie. It combines so many genres, like video games, comics, cartoons, superheroes. It's a wild film. And basically the whole story is like him trying to defeat these men and even one woman, progressive.
Whoa.
It's 2019. It's okay. Defeat all of her exes so that way he can be with her. And it's just it's just a fun movie. It's beautifully shot. It's by Edgar Wright. He was the director, and he also directed like Shaun of the Dead, At World's End, or The World's End, and Hot Fuzz with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Holy shit!
Hot Fuzz.
Just like it's just beautifully shot. The most beautiful storytelling I've ever seen in my life. Edgar Wright, if you're listening to this, if you're having a seance with our group, if you're having a seance with our members that we've mentioned before, you're just beautiful, and I love your work. Anyway, the screenplay was also partially by Edgar Wright and Michael Bacall.
Yeah, I remember when this movie came out. It was definitely a huge studio.
It was brilliant, and like I love the music, the acting, amazing, the story. It's like enough to keep you interested to where even if you aren't interested in comics or superheroes or stuff like that, that you will still enjoy it when you're watching it. It's a beautiful story. It's beautifully acted. It's beautifully shot, directed, and it's a fun time no matter when or like what time or like how many people are over. It's like something you put on and you'll enjoy it. And yeah, I just appreciate that it like tries to culminate so many medias and fashions of entertainment, comics, superheroes, movies, video games, and it's just so creative that I haven't seen anything really like it. If there's anything like it out there, I'll watch it if you have any suggestions. But it's just so unique and has a lot of star power, but not like the biggest names ever, but just people that have a big name in Hollywood that'll get you to see it, but yet they'll still produce good quality. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not like Jumanji, the second one with like The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black, where it's like they're banking on the names for it to bring in the audience, but then it ends up being good. I enjoyed it. Anyway,
I hear One Night in Paris has been a hit, and it was really good. You've never heard of that?
Is that the one with Owen Wilson?
No, it's Paris Hilton's sex tape. You were like, I've never seen anything like it. I'm like, I hear One Night in Paris is a thrill.
It's a beautiful film. I'm gonna show it to you someday. Kieran Culkin, this is like, I've not seen him in a lot of things, and I'm so like astounded by his performance in this film.
Really?
He's done a lot of things. He's even been alongside Macaulay in one film in particular that I know of. But he like is one of those actors that I haven't seen in a lot of things, and yet the one thing I have seen him in, he was phenomenal. So yeah, it's just a great film. If you haven't seen it, then you should watch it. I think it's a great time. It's fun. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's heartbreaking. It's just, it's a good time. Yeah, he was in Home Alone. He played like one.
He played Fuller?
Yeah, he played one of the cousins.
He did not play Fuller.
Isn't that, it's gotta be shitty though, like seeing your brother get more famous than you. But then like Macaulay with the drugs but he's doing so much better. He's like open. I think he's gay or like on the spectrum somehow. And he has a podcast and he has videos. He's getting back out there. He's doing so well.
All right.
I'm so grateful that Macaulay Culkin has found his way back.
He was in Frasier.
Yeah, he was. Sure. I don't know. I didn't see him. But, so that was my last one. Yeah.
So I think we were going to do TV shows and plays / musicals. But, yeah, we're chatty.
As you can tell.
So I think we want to save those for another episode.
Yes, we're gonna actually probably make it like a 3-part, where this is the first part with the films. We're gonna make a second part with TV shows because we'll probably talk a lot about that too.
Oh, Mad Men is involved. I will be talking.
We're gonna go on a rant. But yeah, we're gonna make it probably a 3-part, and hopefully you keep listening. And if not, we're just happy to make this, and we're gonna put it out into the world and see what happens.
I feel like the two of us, we do have so many different things that we can contribute to the entertainment industry.
Yeah, we have very different views, and yet I feel like we vibe together.
We do. Also, hire us.
Also. Hire me. I'm an actor, and my resume is located.
That's me.
But yeah, so let us know what you think. And I think this is the end of the first episode. But yeah, we'll be coming out with more episodes. I don't know how it'll work out.
We don't know when they'll be coming out.
Yeah, we don't have a set schedule when they'll come out, but we'll let you know if we do come up with a set schedule. But yeah, let us know what you think, and hopefully you enjoy listening to us.
Hopefully you enjoyed listening to Media Psycho.
Media Psycho.
Ooh, crazy up in here.
I want to come up with a radio, like a disc jockey, like Media Psycho.
Gosh, we're so white.
But yeah, we'll come out with more content later. If you want to keep listening to us, do that. And if not, we'll keep making it for some reason, and it'll just be there.
Now here comes the fun part.
What's the fun part?
Editing.
Again, John Hamm. That's all I have to say because you know.
If you can help us reach to John Hamm, a core member.
I just have to say your name and you know. That's our connection.
He feels it in his loins.
Yeah. I know I do.
I know I do.
No one's going to date me ever again.
That's it.
All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.